tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Sadhu. So, we are going to take a sutta today, which is from Anguttara Nikaya. This is a interesting sutta, which is, I'll read from Bhikkhu Buddhist translation from Anguttara Nikaya. This is book of 5, Sutta 48. So 5.48. So this sutta has certain kind of information, but I like the last line of it, which is kind of instructive for the life. You know, this one line, if we have with us, it can kind of help us in our life. The Buddha is giving a lot of information over here to the monks. This sutta has been repeated for the king. The next sutta number 49, 5.49 is for King Pasenadi, whose wife had passed away. So the same instructions were given, but those instructions were given to a king, and this instruction which is given over here has been given to the monks. So there is a little bit of difference in the way the Buddha is giving that information. So the sutta's name is situations. Students, there are these 5 situations that are unobtainable by an ascetic or a Brahmin, by a Deva, Mara, or Brahma. Ascetic could be any kind of, we call it sannyasi in India, or a person who is renunciate. So if there is a renunciate, sannyasi, or a Brahmin, or a scholar monk who is there, or a Deva, or a Mara, or a Brahma. So Buddha is covering this world also and the other world also, the people or the entities who have control or access to the other world. Like the Brahma would be access to the other world. Mara would have access to, and Devas would have access to this world. So the Buddha is kind of giving a background of those entities which are considered to have a lot of power and have a lot of control. But the Buddha is saying that even if those people who are, or those entities which are there, ascetics are there, Brahmin is there, Deva is there, Mara is there, Brahma is there, or by anyone in the world, is unobtainable. And what are those 5 things? May what is subject to old age not grow old. This is a situation that is unobtainable by an ascetic or a Brahmin, by a Deva, Mara, Brahma, or anyone in the world. So if somebody or something is subject to aging, and somebody says that let it not age, then that is not possible. Say like we are there, we are subject to aging. But whatever we do, certain people have come up in this modern times with hormone therapy, exercise, vitamins, and they do a lot of things. One person, what he used to do is, in Silicon Valley, that he used to take a young person's blood and transfuse it into his body. So he can get younger. So it is a kind of very strange thing, but he tried to do that. And then there is one other billionaire who is spending some millions of dollars a year or a month on all the therapies to reverse aging. But ultimately, there has not been any person who is there in this world who is living beyond the normal aging, which is living beyond 100 by doing any kind of efforts. Whoever is going beyond 100 is doing it on their own, and they may have certain habits which may be strange. Like I saw a program where the person was drinking. He had he was from ex-military, so he used to smoke cigars. And they asked him, what is your secret for long life? He said, whenever I get up in the night, see if I wake up at 3 a.m., then I will make coffee and not sleep, go back to sleep. That is his secret. So that can be different. Somebody can say it is garlic, eating garlic in my day. Somebody says that I don't take stress. Somebody says that I go for walks. That's the reason. But nobody knows why a person will live longer or live shorter. But one thing is that everybody will age. So there is nothing which we can do which will reverse this process. May what is subject to illness not fall ill. This is a situation that is unobtainable. So whenever there is illness, there is a physical illness is there. So there can be bacteria, there can be a virus, there can be a change in the body, which are genetic. So those illnesses are there which we cannot control. Then there can be mental illnesses, which is fear is there, greed is there, aversion is there. Then there are other kind of mental illnesses also. Schizophrenia is there, or psychopathy is there. So those things will also happen. Those mind states will also change. So there is nothing we can do about that. May what is subject to death not die. So this is also a thing nobody can stop. Even the sun which is there, that so mighty, the Buddha says that one day the sun will also die. Buddha says the water, we are considering that it is indestructible. But once in this same planet, the water will be just high enough to cover your heels. So that much water would be there in the oceans. So there will be change of everything. So what is subject to death will be subject to death. May what is subject to destruction not be destroyed. So whatever is there, which is there, like something which you buy, a new phone which is there, a car which is there, a house which is there, something or the other, there are reasons where it will get destroyed. And there is nothing which we can do about that. May what is subject to loss not be lost. So the same thing is there with everything. Every possession which we have is subject to loss. The Buddha in the recollections also is mentioning that we have to recollect that whatever subject which we have, whatever object which we have with us, we have to remind ourselves that these are, however kind of loving they are, or however I have attachment to them, they will be subject to loss. They will be not there permanently. So whatever is subject to be lost will be lost. Students, for the uninstructed worldling, what is subject to old age grows old. When this happens, he does not reflect thus: I am not the only one for whom this is subject to old age grows old. For all beings that came, for all beings that come and go, that pass away and undergo rebirth, what is subject to old age grows old. So when somebody does not have, they have ignorance, they have not been having a teaching of the Buddha, when they are presented with such a situation, then what they will not think in that sense that, oh, this is not just for me that the aging happens. For anybody who has been born in the past, or anybody who will be born in the future, they will be having the same situation. It is not just for me this old age is coming. If I were to sorrow, languish, lament, weep, beating my breast, and become confused when what is subject to old age grows old, I would lose my appetite and my features would become ugly. So what is there, something which I cannot do, or something which I cannot change, if that happens, the old age happens, then if I lament and sorrow regarding that illness or old age, then it will not help me. What would happen is my appetite, I lose my appetite, I lose my features, because I will have worry in my mind. Because of that, my situation will not kind of improve. I would not be able to do my work. My enemies would be elated. Why would enemies be elated? Because your enemies don't want you to prosper. Your enemies don't want you to see you happy. So when you are not happy and you are in this situation, then they will be kind of happy, elated, and you would not be able to do your work. My friends would become saddened. So your friends will not feel that you are in a nice place, and they will also be sad. Thus, when what is subject to old age grows old, he sorrows, languishes, laments, weeps, beating his breast, and becomes confused. This is called an uninstructed worldling, pierced by the poisonous dart of sorrow, who only torments himself. So the Buddha is saying that if the ignorance is there and they are not knowing, then they will just torment themselves. They will not have any benefit from this sorrowing. They will not have any benefit from kind of seeing that this is not something I can have any control over. So I remember this prayer which was used in Alcoholic Anonymous, which said that let me change the things I can change, accept the things which I cannot change, and have the wisdom to know the difference. So that is the wisdom which is there, is what the Buddha is giving us. Sorry. The Buddha is giving us the wisdom to know the difference between what can be changed and what cannot be changed. So what can be changed, we change. That is what we are using the 6 R for. So when our attention moves, we know that we can bring back our attention. So we can change that. What we cannot change is the aging. So we cannot change the aging. So we accept the aging. When we are becoming old, we accept this thing. When you kind of get up in the morning and see that body is aching, and now it becomes difficult for you to kind of do your morning activities when you are have advanced of age, then you accept this fact. Don't fight it. Don't sorrow, because by sorrowing and fighting with what is the reality, you create dukkha. But they also used to say that this is the reality and this is you fighting against it. So when you fight against reality, that is the time you are creating dukkha. So when you are not in acceptance, then you are creating dukkha. That is the sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair, which the Buddha is talking about. When you are not able to accept what is the reality in front of you. So when you are not accepting the reality which is in front of you, you will create the dukkha for yourself. Again, for the uninstructed worldling, what is subject to illness falls ill. What is subject to death dies. What is subject to destruction is destroyed. What is subject to loss is lost. When this happens, he does not reflect thus: I am not the only one for whom what is subject to loss is lost. For all beings who come and go, who pass away and undergo rebirth, what is subject to loss is lost. If I were to sorrow, languish, lament, weep, beating my breast, and become confused, when what is subject to loss is lost, I would lose my appetite and my features would become ugly. I would not be able to do my work. My enemies would be elated and my friends would become saddened. Thus, when what is subject to loss is lost, he sorrows, languishes, laments, weeps, beating his breast, and becomes confused. This is called an uninstructed worldling, pierced by the poisonous dart of sorrow, who only torments himself. So don't become like a uninstructed person and sorrow for the things which you are not having the ability to change. So the Buddha is saying nobody will have the ability to change those things. Even the Brahma is subject to old age. He is also subject to death. He is also subject to destruction. He is also subject to loss. So nobody, no entity in this world will be able to subject those or control those things. Students, for the instructed noble disciple, what is subject to old grows old. So even if a person is having knowledge, he is an instructed noble disciple. So what is subject to age grows old. So even if a person has wisdom, what is the aging process will not stop. It will still grow old. He will still grow old. When this happens, he reflects thus: I am not the only one for whom what is subject to old age grows old. For all beings come and that come and go, that pass away and undergo rebirth. What is subject to old age grows old. So when a student has wisdom, then he will say that it is not just me I am growing old. For anybody who comes and goes in the past or in the present or in the future have been subject to this old age. So it is not just me who is going old. For all beings that come and go, that pass away and undergo rebirth, what is subject to old age grows old. If I were to sorrow, languish, lament, weep, beating my breast and become confused, when what is subject to old age grows old, I would lose my appetite and my features would become ugly. I would not be able to do my work. My enemies would be elated and my friends would become saddened. Thus, when what is subject to old age grows old, he does not sorrow, languish, lament, weep, beating his breast and become confused. This is called an instructed noble disciple who has drawn out the poisonous dart of sorrow, tears by which the uninstructed worldly only torments himself. So the dart of dukkha which is there, of sorrow which is there, the dart of dukkha is being removed and he does not torment himself. Sorrowless, without darts, the noble disciple realizes Nibbana. So the Buddha is saying that when you accept the reality, that is the road to Nibbana. So accepting reality in the present as it is will lead you to go towards Nibbana. So what the Bhante Vimramsi was also saying was that whatever practice is there is in the present. So the practice of not taking things personally, realizing the things which are not under our control and letting them go, relaxing, re-smiling, returning back. This process of 6 hours can be done only in the present. We cannot do 6 hours in the past or we cannot do it in the future. We have to do it in the present. Each time we can do this in the present, we will be able to accept what is there, the reality which is there. If there is a pain which is there in the body or in the mind, we just accept it. We cannot control the hindrances which are arising. But what we can control is our attention, where we put our attention on the hindrances or we put our attention on the object of meditation. So that the Buddha is saying a very kind of deep teaching which is giving. Sorrowless, without darts, the noble disciple realizes Nibbana. So by accepting, just accepting what is old age as old age, one can kind of accept all the other things. And when they accept what is reality, then they have no dukkha. So the state of not having any dukkha is Nibbana. So the acceptance of whatever is the reality. Again, for the instructed noble disciple, what is subject to illness falls ill. What is subject to death dies. What is subject to destruction is destroyed. What is subject to loss is lost. When this happens, he reflects, I am not the only one for whom what is subject to loss is lost. For all beings that come and go, that pass away and undergo rebirth, what is subject to loss is lost. If I were to sorrow, languish, lament, weep beating my breast and become confused. When what is subject to loss is lost, I would lose my appetite and my features would become ugly. I would not be able to do my work. My enemies would be elated and my friends would become saddened. Thus, when what is subject to loss is lost, he does not sorrow, languish, lament, weep beating his breast and become confused. This is called an instructed noble disciple who has drawn out the poisonous dart of sorrow, pierced by which the uninstructed worldly only laments, only torments himself. Sorrowless without darts, the noble disciple realizes Nibbana. So the Buddha is giving a summary of his teaching now. These students are the 5 situations that are unobtainable by an ascetic or a Brahmin, by an Deva, Mara or Brahma, or by anyone in the world. It is not by sorrowing and lamenting that even the least good here can be gained. Knowing that one is sorrowful and sad, one's enemies are elated. When the wise does not shake in adversities, knowing how to determine what is good, his enemies are saddened, having seen that his former facial expression does not change. So what the Buddha is saying is, when you act with wisdom and do not become shaken in a situation, then what would happen is your facial expressions will not change. You will not have sadness, you will not have the ugliness of that pain. And then what would happen is that your enemies which are there would become saddened, but it would not change how you are expressing yourself. Wherever one might gain one's good in whatever way, by chanting mantras, maxim, gifts or tradition, there one should exert oneself in just that way. So now what the Buddha is saying is very important, because the Buddha is not advocating for doing those things. Okay, the Buddha is saying that when your mind is disturbed, there is certain things which you can do to calm those mind. The Bhante Vimal Ramsey used to give one example. There was a person who came to Bhante Vimal Ramsey and said that I am not able to sit in meditation. I get a lot of fear when I close my eyes. So Bhante said that if that is the case, then you should recite the Itipiso, the good qualities of the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. And after that you sit. So they started doing that, and slowly they were able to sit and they were able to close the eyes. So that fear which was there subsided. So this is a skillful use of that chanting. But you are not depending on the chanting for that. So the Buddha is saying that whenever these things are useful for you, like is it chanting is there? Is it maxims? Is like the Dhammapada can be said, reading the Dhammapada. Gifts or tradition. Gifts is by doing dana, doing good work. If your mind is disturbed, you are not able to settle yourself, then you can just go out and give certain maybe food to the homeless people, or maybe go and physically help, say maybe an orphanage or an old age home. Once I was watching a program, they said that in an orphanage, they need some people to just come and play with the children. They don't have to do anything, but just having that interaction is very good for the children. In old age home, just coming and talking to them can make them very happy. They have their food, clothing and shelter, but they don't have companionship. Certain times just going there and playing chess with them can be a good service. And that can also calm our mind by doing good things. So those are the skillful ways of using this chanting, mantras, maxim, gifts or tradition. There one should exert oneself in just that way. Tradition could be going to the Buddha image and offering flowers and incense and some other kind of eatables they kind of present to the Buddha image. So that can be traditional way of expressing our gratitude to the teaching of the Buddha. So that can be done. So those things are there which are done as a part of tradition. Those can be used as skillful means to calm the mind. So whatever is there. So the Buddha is saying in Majjhima Nikaya 19 is you have to split your thoughts into two categories. One is unwholesome and one is wholesome. So when the unwholesome is kind of powerful, then you can use those things as a skillful means to bring your mind to the wholesome things. Like giving dana is there, chanting is there, and maybe doing traditional things which are there, going to the Buddha image or going to certain places. Like pilgrimage is prescribed by the Buddha when your faith is not, your faith is shaken. So in Parinibbana Sutta, the Buddha advises. So this has to be understood in that way. But if one should understand this good cannot be obtained by me or anyone else, one should accept the situation without sorrowing. So when after everything you do, but if one should understand this good cannot be obtained by me or anyone else, one should accept the situation without sorrowing, thinking, the karma is strong, what can I do now? So that one line I think is very important in situations when you are in trouble, when you are there are heavy things which are happening. If I had this one line, my life would have been a very different life. I can see what I had the most difficult period of my life after I'd left Vatpananachat. I was there for 1.5 years. It was very kind of a protected environment. We were not allowed out, but we were supported, very well supported. And the day I went out of that monastery, I lost my passport. So first I had to go to Bangkok and then get the travel document, and then had to come back. And by that time, my sister had sold the house, and I had to get an address to get a passport. And that there was drama. So the first address did not work out. I had to rent another place, and all those things which happened. And it was a very kind of difficult period for me. And if I had known this one line, I think I would have taken that period in a much better manner. But still, Dhamma was there with me. So I always thought that, okay, this is happening for something because I am on this path. Those things are obstacles which are coming. So I was the Dhamma. Without Dhamma, it would have been kind of maddening for me. But with the help of the Dhamma. But this one line is the line when I read in the Sutta. I think there are a few suttas in Samyutta Nikaya which has this line. When the first time I read this was, I think, a radical thing the Buddha is saying, that there are certain situations which you cannot change, and you have to accept. Certain times there are so many hindrances coming in a sitting, you cannot change that. What you can do is you can do your 6 hours. And that's the reason Bhante used to say that even if your mind is going 50 times in the 30 minutes sitting and coming back 50 times, you are doing a good sitting. Because you are being with the wholesome, you are being with the 6 hour. The only time you are not meditating is when your attention moves to a distraction and you stay with that distraction. That time you have stopped doing meditation. So that is a big thing that you have to accept certain times, that the karma is strong. What can I do now? So we have to accept certain times the situation which is there, the reality which is there. And this acceptance is a very powerful thing, because this acceptance can take you to Nibbana, because we accept the reality as it is without any delusion. So certain times there is very positive thinking, positive attitudes. But we are just delusioning ourselves into believing that things will change or things will happen which are not possible. What is, you can do a lot of exercise, you can do a lot of eating of vitamins and hormonal therapy or getting blood transfusion or whatever. But at the end of the day, the aging process cannot be stopped. the Buddha says that there are many ages where there are different ages of the people. So the population has certain times just 10 years. I am not sure exactly, but I think 10 or 20 years of age is there. Then currently it is about 100 years of age. There will be a time there will be 1,000 years. He talks about certain in the sutta once he talked about 60,000 years, the lifespan. There was a teacher over there, he said that our life is just as the raindrop bubble formed in the rainy season by raindrop, that that is the amount of time we have as human beings, and you should practice. And that time the age of human beings was 60,000 years. And the Buddha says more so what you have to do for the 100 years which you have over here in this lifetime which you have possible. So then the Buddha also talks about a 100,000 year lifespan. 100,000 year lifespan will be there when the Maitreya Buddha will come the next time. That time the purity of our actions are very pure. The population which is there, the people which are there have perfect Shila. Because of that, the only diseases the Buddha says will be hunger and going to the loo. And old age, birth, old age, and death. Those will be the only kind of illnesses which are there, which will be ailing the people. But still, the old age will be there, and a person will become old. The death will be there, and there will be a destruction which is there to be destroyed, which has to be destroyed. What has to be lost has to be lost. So in that period also, this will not change. So we have to accept what is there. In certain times, we have to accept that the life situation can come where we cannot change what the situation. And we have to say the karma is strong. What can I do now? So this is the end of the sutta. And if you have any questions, please, we are open for questions now. Any questions regarding the sutta, or general question also regarding meditation? Anybody wants to share their views or opinions also, they are open to. Yes.
Bhante, no one has a question. I just have a very simple question. So in the meditation, we are advised to, just keep letting go, whatever hindrances occur, right? That's more like in the meditation. But nowadays, when I try to apply in daily life, like anything in daily life, as lay people, whether it's work related or study or whatever, I find like the more we let go, the more things become smoother, kind of. Because I'm a very control freak, I try to have plan A, plan B, plan C, but now I kind of realize if I just try to let go more and more and more and try to go with the flow more and more and more, actually things go smoother, I find.
Yes. One of the things, as a kind of a young person, I read a book was Don't Worry, Be Happy. That was a book about worry. And then the one thing which stuck with me was that most of the things which you worry about will never happen. So the most of the things which kind of we plan for, we kind of contingency we make for, those will not happen. So as you are saying that when you are accepting the present as it is, then it becomes more smoother. Because you are not have anxiety, you don't have the things which are worry, which is there. Then there is no loss of, oh, I did not do this, or I could have done that. Those things can be avoided, and the life becomes a little bit more smoother. And when you are also bringing the 6R in your daily practice, that can change your way of behaving. Because 6 hours is not just for sitting. 6 hours is for life. That's the reason Sister Khema got this thing called never mind game. Like you recognize that your mind is there on the unwholesome. Maybe you're thinking too much, or you are have a negative thought pattern, or you are angry, or you just recognize that this is there. Then you say never mind. You smile and you relax and smile and come back to whatever you are doing currently. And whatever you are doing can become your object of meditation. So even if you are working on the computer, or you are working on say writing or something, then your writing would be your object of meditation. If you are playing an instrument, then that instrument can be your object of meditation. We will notice that whenever we are doing something, we are not doing that thing completely. When we are washing dishes, we are not washing dishes completely. We are washing dishes and then we are there thinking about this and that. Bhante used to say that when you are walking towards your car, you are not just walking towards your car, you are thinking this and that. At that time, you can just radiate metta all over till the time you go into the car. When you are driving, then you can just radiate metta to whoever is there in the traffic around you. So in this way, you can keep your practice going and keep the 6 hours going. Okay. So if nobody has any questions, then we can share the merits.
Bhante, so after sharing merits, I have a quick question that's not related. So if I can stop the recording after sharing merits and then ask the quick question.
Okay. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.